Lahach, protective shelter, one who shields and delivers his people, my protective shelter. As you close the mouths of the lions for Daniel, close the mouths of every scheme set against me. Shield me in your covenant faithfulness. Yehovah Elohi Lahach, Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. Please fill me and lead me and cover me and stir me and speak through me with your Ruach Kodesh, that I may speak your written words with boldness and humility to those who listen. I ask all these things in Yeshua HaMashiach's name. Amen. We'll start with the Shema. Listen and obey. Children of Yehovah, pay careful attention and respond. Yehovah is our power and authority. Yehovah works in unity with himself, and he shall act upon your love. To Yehovah with your power and authority, with your thoughts and mind, with your entire body, and with all the muchness that you have. Yod, Hey, Vav, Hey. Hand, behold, nail, behold. Daniel chapter 6. The kingdom passed to Darius the Mede, who, when he was about 62 years old, Darius decided to set over the kingdom's 120 viceroys to rule throughout the entire kingdom, with 3 chiefs over them, of whom Daniel was one, so that these viceroys would be responsible to them and so that the king's interests would be safeguarded. But because an extraordinary spirit was in this Daniel, he so distinguished himself above the other chiefs and the viceroys, that the king considered putting him in charge of the whole kingdom. The other chiefs and the viceroys tried to find a cause for complaint against Daniel in regard to how he performed his governing duties, but they could find nothing to complain about, no fault. On the contrary, because he was so faithful, not a single instance of negligence or faulty administration could be found. Then these men said, "We're not going to find any cause for complaint against this Daniel unless we can find something against him in regard to the law of his God." So these chiefs and viceroys descended on the king and said to him, "King Darius, live forever. All the kings of the kingdom, along with the prefects, viceroys, advisors, and governors, have met and agreed that the king should issue a decree putting in force the following law. Whoever makes a request of any god or man during the next 30 days, except of you, your majesty, it is to be thrown into the lion's pit. Now, your majesty, issue this decree over your signature so that it cannot be revoked, as required by the law of the Medes and Persians, which itself is irrevocable." So King Darius signed the document, and the decree became law. On learning that the document had been signed, Daniel went home. The windows of his upstairs room were open in the direction of Jerusalem, and there he kneeled down 3 times a day and prayed, giving thanks before his God, just as he had done before. Then these men descended on Daniel and found him making request and pleading before his God. So they went to remind the king of his royal decree. "Didn't you sign a law prohibiting anyone from making requests of any god or man within 30 days, except yourself, your majesty, on pain of being thrown into the lion's pit?" The king answered, "Yes, this is true, as required by the law of the Medes and Persians, which itself is irrevocable." They replied to the king, "That Daniel, one of the exiles from Yehuda, respects neither you, your majesty, nor the decree you signed. Instead, he continues praying 3 times a day." When the king heard this report, he was very upset. He determined to save Daniel and worked until sunset to find a way to rescue him. But these men descended on the king and said to him, "Remember, your majesty, that it is a law of the Medes and Persians that no decree or edict once issued by the king can be revoked." So the king gave the order, and they brought Daniel and threw him into the lion pit. The king said to Daniel, "Your God, whom you are always serving, will save you." A stone was brought and blocked the opening of the pit. The king sealed it with his own signet and with the signet of his lords, so that nothing concerning Daniel could be changed. Then the king returned to his palace. He spent the night fasting and refused to be entertained. His sleep eluded him. Early in the morning, the king got up and hurried to the lion pit. On approaching to the pit where Daniel was, the king cried in a pained voice to Daniel, "Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you are always serving, been able to save you from the lions?" Then Daniel answered the king, "May the king live forever. My God sent his angel to shut the lions' mouths, so that they haven't hurt me. This is because before him I was found innocent, and also I have done no harm to you, your majesty." The king was overjoyed and ordered Daniel taken out from the pit. So Daniel was taken up from the pit, and he was found to be completely unharmed, because he had trusted in his God. Then the king gave an order, and they brought those men who had accused Daniel, and they threw them into the lion pit, them, their children, and their wives. And before they had even reached the bottom of the pit, the lions had them in their control and broke all their bones to pieces. King Darius wrote, "All the peoples, nations, and languages living anywhere on earth, Shalom Rav, abundant peace. I herewith you issue a decree that everywhere in my kingdom people are to tremble and be in awe of the God of Daniel. For he is the living God. He endures forever. His kingdom will never be destroyed. His rulership will last till the end. He saves, rescues, does signs and wonders both in heaven and on earth. He delivered Daniel from the power of the lions." So this Daniel prospered during the reign of Darius and also during the reign of Koresh the Persian. How can we learn to love our Creator after reading this awesome 6th chapter of Daniel? We can love Yehovah by obeying Him unwaveringly, even when obedience invites risk. Love Yehovah by trusting His deliverance more than fearing man's threats. Love Yehovah by openly giving Him glory before others when He rescues you. How can we love our neighbors as Yeshua loves us? By standing in faith publicly, so others are emboldened to trust Yehovah too. How can we bear one another's burdens? By interceding for those under attack, reminding them that Yehovah's deliverance is certain. What are the top 3 fruits of the Spirit found? 1. Faithfulness. Daniel's devotion to prayer never wavered despite the decree. 2. Peace, shalom. Daniel rested in Yehovah's care even in the lion's den. 3. Courage. His public faith defied fear and inspired others. What is the Hebrew word that encapsulates this chapter? Gov, meaning pit, a place of danger or entrapment, yet also a stage for deliverance. Insight. The lion's den was not just a death trap. It was the very area where Yehovah's power was displayed for all rulers to see. Daniel's prayer was unshakable, and Yehovah's deliverance was undeniable. Mitzvah response, Torah-based. Command. Fear not, for Yehovah your God goes with you to fight for you. Deuteronomy 20 verse 1. A declaration might be like this: I will not fear the traps of men, for Yehovah fights for me and will deliver me from every pit. How can we find Yeshua in the scriptures? Daniel's deliverance from the lion's den foreshadows Yeshua's resurrection, emerging alive from the sealed tomb as proof of divine vindication. Hebrew declaration: Atah magin li Yehovah. You, Yehovah, are my shield. We'll end this awesome 6th chapter with the Aaronic blessing using the name. Yehovah will kneel before you presenting gifts, and he will guard you with a hedge of protection. Yehovah will illuminate the wholeness of his being toward you, bringing order, and he will provide you with love, sustenance, and friendship. Yehovah will lift up the wholeness of his being and look upon you and set in place all you need to be whole and complete. Shalom, shalom.